Seven sign of genuinely confident people. Let's start this topic. When you look around the world, there is a lot of example of people who look confident on the outside, but from politicians who make sweeping claims and impossible promise to athletes and celebrities who swagger and flirt and from every angle possible. Our society is full of fake confidence. True confidence, on the other hand, is hard to spot because it's less flashly and more humble. Genuinely confident people don't feel the need to constantly prove themselves. They just go their life quietly confident. Have a simple way to think about false confidence, hide insecurity, true confidence, embrace it. What are the seven specific signs that person possesses genuine confidence? Being compassionate to others. If you wanted to identify people with a high degree of false confidence, what would you look for? Me, a dead giveaway would be people who are highly critical and judgmental of others, like a schoolyard bully. There is a insecure themselves. That only way they know to feel good about themselves is to put their other people down. Well, other opposite of hyper criticalness and judgmentalness, I'd say sometimes like compassion. And in my experience, people who are routinely empathetic and compassionate are always quietly confident themselves. Compassion is outward sign of inner confidence. It's only when you not obsessed with yourself and your insecurity that you can confidently shift to other people in compassionate and empathetic way. There is no exercise better than heart than reaching down to lifting people. I'm honest, admitting it when they are wrong. Humility doesn't seem to be one of our culture's favorite virtue these days, but truly confident people have. Of course, humility can be hard to spot because it's not flashy or sexy or exciting. Luckily, there is a pretty full test to see if someone has humility or extension confidence. Do they admit when they are wrong? Confident people have the self-awareness to know when they are wrong and humility to admit it. If they want to know if someone is truly confident, ask yourself when the last time the person acknowledged they were if you drawing blanks, they might be sign that they are not confident as they appear. The past can't hurt you anymore, not unless you let in. Being willing to ask your ask for help. People who never ask for help probably have major issue with vulnerability, which makes sense if you think of when you ask for help, you are admitting at least a bit of inadequacy. Of course, it's perfectly normal to feel somewhat inadequate about things. Nobody is expert at anything, but some people grow up believing they need to be good at everything. They are afraid that if not exponentially good at everything that crosses their path, it means they are unlovable. What when people ask for help, it shows that they are realistic views of themselves and their ability. It means they know they don't know everything and understand growth and not the result. Confident people are focused on who can become, not who they think they destined to be. Someone who too insecure to ask for help probably isn't as confident as they. We are like island in some sea, separate on the surface but connected in the deep, communicating assertively. One hallmark of genuinely confident people is that okay just being themselves. They don't feel the need of wear mask and perform and try to be somebody else. They comfortable in their own skin and basically like the as a result they are usually able to communicate in a way that honest and straightforward. In other words, they are assertive. Assertiveness means they having a courage to ask for what they and say no what do you want you don't want. When people lack true confidence, they often resort to other less helpful communication style, passively aggression and even passive aggressive communication. True confidence reveal itself with assertive communication. It takes a great deal to very stand out of but just as much as stand out of a friend. J.K. Rowling, expecting past mistakes, not dwelling on them. Dealing with mistakes and regret is a tricky business. On the one hand, you don't want to live in a denial about your mistake, but on the other, you don't want to be get paralyzed by themselves. The ability to balance these two tendencies will be hallmark of genuine confidence and healthy self-esteem. Confident people reflect on their mistake, but don't. When a person is willing to comfort and reflect on their past mistake, it's so emotional maturity and self-awareness. At the same time, the ability to move past one mistake and self-compassion demonstrate a healthy sense of self-respect and balance. A good measure of confidence is how people relate to their past, especially past mistakes. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the little voice at the end of the day. They say, "It's try to again tomorrow." Setting healthy boundaries. Confident people respect just as much other people. That means they don't let other people bully them, manipulate them, or walk over them. So when push come to shove, they able to willing to set healthy boundaries. But more than just setting healthy boundaries, their true confidence lead to a willingness to enforce those boundaries even when it is hard. Anyone can set boundaries. Confident people enforce it. The willingness to enforce healthy boundaries is really a matter of self-respect. When your rights are being violated, setting and enforcing healthy boundaries communicate to yourself and everyone else that you have to much respect for yourself. Let that happen. If people keep stopping on you, wear a pointy hat. Choosing values, not feeling. A final way to identify truly confident people in this look at what really motivates their decision making. Especially, are they motivated by the feeling or their value? When you make decision from a place of fear or insecurity, it is easy to get pushed around by your stock emotion and feeling. On the other hand, when you confident, you can secure in yourself, your energy and attention are freed up to spend time getting to know your values and highest aspiration, because it's only when you can what really matters to you that you are able to resist the wish of the moment and make consistently good decisions. Confident people are always not feeling to make choices between stimulus and response. There is a space. In this space, our power to choose our response. In our response lies growth and our freedom. Thank you so much. Nice article. Next article. Next article. To more discipline, stop this for bad habit. Let's try this one also. A lot of people think discipline is about what you do. Stay focused. Do it out. Push up willpower. Be strong. I like to suggest an alternative. The best way to more discipline is to do less, not more. If you're doing something hard, trying to apply more effort to likely fail because you are already tired and spent. What if you took a totally different approach? What if you look at things that are interfering with ability to more discipline and focus to removing those? If you struggle for a long time to be more disciplined without much success, working to identify and eliminate these four habits and interfere for with discipline might to be much more helpful strategy. Using self criticism for motivation. A lot of us grow believing that unless we hard on ourselves we won't success, and if we don't succeed we don't worthwhile or valuable. So early in the life we develop mental habit of self judgment and self criticism. We tell ourselves that it's silly, that we feel nervous about a upcoming presentation we have to give. We comment to ourselves about how lazy we are, where anytime we find ourselves procrastinating, we wearily ourselves for getting distracted and losing focus. Anytime we are not being productive and we think we should be, and yet we are still successful to some degree. We got some grades, go to school and get a good job, etc. Now here is a critical part. Because our habit is self-criticism is associated with our relative success, we assume it caused it what as anyone who taken statistic 01 as has heard. Correlation doesn't mean question. For example, I drank my coffee an hour later than usual this morning and the price of Bitcoin fall by 5%. Obviously, my altered coffee routine had nothing to do with the price of Bitcoin. My point is that just because you always relied on self-criticism to motivate yourself doesn't mean that self-criticism was all actually motivating you on big success. Stay motivated, get result. In fact, in years of working with people who are extremely hard on themselves are and also extremely successful and productive, I noticed something surprising. Most people are productive despite their self criticism, not because of it. And in fact, when they learn to let go of their habit of self criticism and judgment, they are actually able to more productive and self discipline. At the end of the day, self criticism just lead to a lot of shame, anxiety, and self esteem, all of which interfere with the ability to more discipline. On the other hand, self discipline comes relatively naturally when you treat yourself with compassion and understanding. So do yourself a favor and try to little experiment. Whatever you aren't you like to more discipline in whatever it's your diet, exercise, recommend personal growth goals or work tasks, or take a week or try to practice self-compassion rather than the self-judgment, or see what happened to your level of discipline. After all, you can always go back to a being a mean to yourself, what retrospect you want to be. We are all failures, at least the best of us are. Copying the distraction. There is a strange of tendency that I notice among people who think that they are not disciplined enough. They are using copying as their primary approach to managing distraction. They look for ways to focus harder, get more willpower, resist temptation. As if distraction were is this totally inevitable force over which they had no control whatsoever. But there is the thing. While some distractions are inevitable and must be dealt with, a large percentage of distraction could simply be avoided in the first place. For example, one of the areas my life where I pretty disciplined is with my writing. I try to write for an hour or two every morning. Of course, with the internet at my fingertip, it is incredible easy to get distracted, especially by my phone, which has all my favorite apps installed. Or in fact, just seeing my phone lying on my desk next to me often led to it getting distracted from writing, procrastinating on social media, and then feeling bad about myself for getting distracted. And why I could try hard and resist and temptation of checking my phone during my writing time, what worked better? Not getting distracted by the fit first place. When I sit down to write, I either put my phone on my desk drawer or leave it in another room. I know that I simply don't have enough willpower to consistently resist the temptation to get distracted by my phone, so I remove it as a source of distraction in the first place. Similarly, I do my writing early in the morning before anyone else is at office, show that other people and even can't distract me. Even evening when I leave work, I close all my application and browser tabs, so that only thing that I open in my computer is my writing application. I keep my desk clean and remove all paper, books, note, and etc. Because all those are source of distraction. Never try to copy the distraction that could have been eliminated other. Oh, you can apply this principle a lot of other of discipline. Suppose you want to be more disciplined in your diet. Don't rely on willpower to avoid eating ice cream each evening. Simply stop bringing ice cream into your house in the first place. If you want to stop watching so much TV at night, you can get to a bed at a reasonable hour. Get your TV out of your bedroom. Get serious about actually using the fancy treadmill you bought last year. Get rid of TV in your living room. Move it to whatever treadmill is, and allow yourself to watch TV if you're using treadmill. Now, I know some of these may sound a little intense, but how badly you want to be more disciplined. If you try to be coping with a distraction approach for a long without motion, maybe it's time to new approach. Instead of trying to change yourself, maybe try changing your environment. Focus is not saying no, it's about saying no, ignoring your curiosity. One of the saddest thing I hear as a therapist is client telling my story, or their curiosity as a child was punished and discouraged. Of course, it just said imagine some curious little kid being told that their interests are dumb or silly and not important. But what truly tragic is that lifetime effect this has on people capacity to go whatever they really want to in life. If you look carefully at the people who appear highly disciplined, focused, and were able to consistently do things that set a common pattern, a common pattern. For example, look at the people who manage to exercise consistently day in a life and day out over years. What you usually see is that they found a form of exercise that really enjoy. This means that instead of having a push themselves to exercise willpower or discipline, the exercise pull them into a because of intrinsically rewarding. Another example, I often get asked how we able to so much on the top of full-time job. People want to know the technique and flavor I used to stay productive, and while I will to few of those, the much bigger reason is simply I really enjoy writing. Of course hard at time, but the reason I am able to consistently isn't so much I have given tough discipline as that I was willing to work on something I was intensely interested in, the spring of curiosity. The reason of so many people struggling to more discipline is that they are choosing the wrong thing to do work on, or at least they are choosing to go about them in a wrong way. It's very hard to maintain any habit or routine if you don't have interesting motivation working with you. If you don't find the thing that process you working to, but rewarding it in itself. The reason so many people choose to work on things that aren't interestingly motivating is because they are brainwashed into ignoring their curiosity. Usually, some early age they were discouraged from following their own interest and told follow that other thought are important on the path. Ignoring your curiosity set to chronologically low motivation and poor discipline. On the other hand, when you start your listen, your pursue and think they are closer about you find things that are genuinely rewarding and enjoyable. When you are work on things that are truly rewarding and enjoyable, you discipline and motivation take care of themselves. Study hard when interested. You are most relevant and original manner is possible. Richer payment. Thinking too much about your goals. Let's say you want to learn guitar. That's your goal. Here, not so trick question. How much time should you spend thinking about your goal? Answer virtually none. Goals are good to have, but thinking too much about them tend to be a counterproductive effect. Let me explain what the guitar playing example. I am complete beginner at a guitar, but spent our day dreaming about how awesome it will be really good at a guitar. I like to feel what's about skill every time I sit down and practice. As a result, I far more likely to be discouraged and give up, or at least more practicing as frequently as should be. Here another example. Set say my goal is to lose. I spent ton of time thinking about hurled 110 LFs. I am going to feel discouraged if I contrast every time I spent on the scale to track my progress and eventually not I'm not 100. The more generally principle is when I come goal, take a set in and forget it approach. Once you most of your focus attention should be on small action that will which will lead to your goal. For example, if your goal is to play guitar like a Jimi Hendrix, you probably should not spend too much time thinking about playing gimmicks. Instead, focus on getting better at fingering or F chord and try. And then how good it feel when your fingers start to get finger or F chord automatically. Or if your goal is to lose 100, keep your focus on going to gym. Because if you say focus on those, you will be much more likely to notice success. Fetch rewarding and encouraging motivation. Keep going. And if you think eventually you end up in the goal, people who are consistently disciplined keep their eyes on the prize and the process. It if counter but if you struggle to achieve a goal or stay disciplined or something, it might be because you're focusing too much on the goal, which we sabotating your progress. Remember, when it comes to goal, set in and forget it. Keep your focus on a small routine and little wins, which if accomplished consistently will lead to a final goal. How to climb mountain is important than reaching the top. Ah, thanks so much. It's night article. Meet you tomorrow. That's for today.